Hi there, this is Marie T. Russell. Welcome to the InnerSelf audio version of this week's newsletter. As I looked at the featured articles for this week's newsletter in preparation for writing my introduction, I saw that the titles of the two articles at the top both started with the words, "How to Recognize." I then realized that this is a key part of our personal empowerment, learning to recognize or be aware of what is around us and what they really are. Sometimes a thing or person has a certain appearance, but the inside is completely different from the outside. Some foods are like that. A ripe coconut has a coarse, brown, almost impenetrable shell, yet the inside is sweet. A pineapple is prickly, yet the insides of a ripe pineapple can be divinely soft and sweet. Often in life, we can be fooled by the externals. Some store-bought tomatoes, for example, taste nothing like a garden-ripened tomato. An organic carrot tastes completely different than a conventionally grown carrot. The organic is much sweeter. In the same way, some people who look picture perfect on the outside may be somewhat rotten on the inside. In the reverse, someone who appears unkempt has the sweetest, most loving heart. Recognizing the totality of something or someone requires that we look past the obvious and past the externals. So this week we start with how to recognize attention deficit hyperactive disorder. ADHD is not a disease, but a trait. And I would expect that many readers of InnerSelf will recognize themselves in the description of ADHD traits. Creative people and nonconformists may have a tendency to exhibit ADHD characteristics. We continue the recognition process with how to recognize your core negative beliefs and inner critic. In order to heal or release anything from our being and our world, we must first acknowledge or recognize that it is there. To heal from a disease, for example, it helps to know it is present so you can focus on what needs to be done to heal. The same applies to such things as core negative beliefs and attitudes and behaviors. First, we recognize their presence, then we address the issue. Oftentimes, we have a choice as to how we perceive something. A great example of this is presented by Pierre Pradervin in We Create Our Own Reality by How We See and Interpret Things. He speaks of a man falsely accused and imprisoned for life, who, though he did recognize the injustice and unfairness in his situation, chose to live his incarcerated life from a different angle than one of anger and thirst for revenge. Once we recognize a problem or an illness or an imbalance, we have a choice as to how we proceed. Joyce Vissel also considers this choice of behavior in Vaccination or No Vaccination. That's not the question here. The choice she is considering in this article has nothing to do with the vaccine, but rather with our reaction when someone has a different opinion or makes a different choice than we do. There again, we can recognize and acknowledge our different opinions and divergent paths without resorting to hatred, rage, and bullying. We also need to recognize that our physical health is an important part of our well-being. How we feel physically will affect our emotions and our behavior, and vice versa. It helps to be able to pinpoint a specific ailment and disease so we can then apply the remedies, whether they are in lifestyle and behavior or with external medicines. The quiz, What's Your Risk of Heart Disease and What to Do About It, helps us recognize a problem, or even possibly a potential problem, and take the steps necessary to heal or avert the illness. Awareness of our predicament or predicaments is essential. We must be willing to look at ourselves and at our world without any filters and just observe what is. Once we do this, we can then proceed to find the solutions that can avert disaster and heal our rifts and differences. Sometimes the solutions are internal and other times external, and usually both. So let's be willing to recognize, without judgment and blame, the problems in our life and in the world, and then proceed to recognize the solutions, which are also visible when we are open to new pathways, new methods, and new attitudes. This is Marie T. Russell, wishing you a great week, and I hope you enjoy this week's newsletter and its featured articles. For over 30 years, we at InnerSelf have shared new attitudes and new possibilities with our readers all over the world. For more inspiration, visit us at InnerSelf.com. Thank you.